Hey, what's up everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today we're doing the breakdown video for the Kayla Plant versus Darrell Super Middleweight Showdown that's taking place on Saturday, October 15th on a Showtime undercard. Most of, on the pay-per-view undercard. Most of the time I don't do co-features with a breakdown video, but this is too big of a fight to not do a breakdown video. It's a co-feature on the Wilder versus Helenius heavyweight showdown card, you know, that's taking place that day, and this is such a good matchup of two top 10, you know, you could argue top 5 for Plant super middleweights right now at 168. And again, it's a crossroads fight. It's a fight that needs to, you know, it's good to see guys like this agreeing to fight each other to take that next step. I think both guys were kind of in that boat where they were going to have to fight David Benavidez, you know, or David Morrell, and you know, those guys are risky guys because their power and their speed and stuff like that, and their youth. So to come and fight each other right here before they go into fights like that, I think was a smart move. It's a fight for both men that they absolutely need right now. Again, it's a crossroads fight. This is a true definition of a crossroads fight. So, and the winner puts themselves like hard back in the mix at 168. You know, to make an impression on getting another world title shot. You know, and we don't know how long Canelo's going to be at 168. You know, there's a good chance that Canelo's done with 168 and he could be moving up to 175, so these guys are putting themselves in position to fight, you know, for another world title, and the winner could potentially fight for a vacant belt next, based on beating his opponent in this fight. So we're gonna see what happens. But as I do with most of with all my breakdown videos, I either do the champion and then the challenger, or I talk about the favorite and the underdog. So there is no champion in this one, so we'll start with the favorite on paper, which is Kayla Plant, and then we'll move on to Darrell, and we'll do you know, I ask the same questions of both guys, and then I finish off with is it better for boxing if one or the other wins, and then I also give my prediction at the end. So let's kick it off with the former IBF champion, the favorite going into this fight, Kayla Plant of the United States. He enters this fight with an 11-month layoff. You know, he lost his last one against Canelo last November, undisputed super middleweight title. He did okay, he boxed okay, but didn't have the power to keep Canelo off of him. And Canelo just kept getting closer, and then finally knocked him out in the 11th round, as Plant suffers the first loss of his professional career. So now he's returning 11 months later, trying to, you know, shake that loss off against a former champion, Dirrell. And you know, prior to the loss to Canelo, he had defeated Caleb Truax in January of last year by a decision, and then stopped Vincent Feigenboots in February of 2020. So he has fought 3 times in the last almost 3 calendar years. About 4 months shy, maybe a little over 2.5 years. He's fought 3 times, and he's put in a decent amount of rounds. It's about 35 rounds in that time span, so not bad. You know, and heading into this one, you know, bouncing back off the first loss to take a guy like Darrell, even though Darrell's older, Darrell is always a competitive fighter. So it's a risk, but I think it's a good risk, and it's good to see that he's not completely caving to fighting nobodies, you know, coming back and fighting an absolute squash guy. Just he wants to fight the best, and he's fighting a good top 10 former champion, Darrell. So I think he's got his mind on straight. I think he's ready to regroup and start over, just based on who he selected. So what kind of style does Kayla Plant need to have to defeat Darrell? And the thing is Darrell doesn't have a distinct height and reach advantage over him. He's got 1 inch height advantage and a 1/2 inch reach advantage. So not a big deal. Plant has youth on his side. I think Plant is the better technical boxer. Dirrell definitely has the power advantage, but Kayla Plant has been able to take shots, and I think he just needs to jab, stick and move, and really get out there and just outbox and outclass Anthony Dirrell. That's what he needs to do. Counterpunch, let Dirrell come to him and try to land those big punches, because there's going to come a point in the fight where Dirrell is going to get more aggressive, most likely. I mean, I think he'd have to. I think Plant will win enough rounds to where Dirrell's going to have to open it up a little more and take some more risk, and that's when he can counterpunch and use that straight right hand to really keep Dirrell honest. So I think if he does that, he's got a good chance. Now, can Kayla Plant beat Anthony Dirrell by knockout? You know, I don't think so. I think his best chance of doing that, I definitely don't think he has the one-punch power to hurt Dirrell, to really knock him out like that, but maybe catch him off guard, stun him, something like that. But I really believe his best chance at a knockout is to wear down Anthony Dirrell and stop him there. Now, Dirrell hasn't fought as much as Plant the last 3 years. He's only fought twice in the last 3 calendar years, so, you know, but Dirrell always comes in good shape. So I think his best chance is to wear Dirrell out and stop him in the late rounds if he's going to stop him. But I honestly don't think he can knock Anthony Dirrell out. If I'm being 100% honest, maybe, but not a strong chance. Now, can Kayla Plant beat Dirrell by a decision? And yeah, I think he absolutely can. Again, I think he's the better boxer, and I think if he fights the right fight, he can definitely win a convincing points decision, maybe a close one. Now, what does a win here mean for Kayla Plant? Well, a win is a big deal for Kayla Plant right here. This is on a big card. You can argue that this would go down as his career best win. You can argue that because his career best win prior to this was against Jose Ustadegui to capture the vacant to capture the IBF title. I don't know if it's bigger than that win because he actually captured a belt with that victory, but it's right up there. And a win puts him back on pace. It gives him a good former champion on his resume, and puts him moving forward back in the right direction. So a win here would be huge for Kayla Plant. It's really what he needs. Now, what would a loss mean for Kayla Plant here? A loss would really be devastating. To be knocked out by Canelo is one thing, but to lose to a 37-year-old former 2-time champ like Anthony Dirrell right now really would hurt Kayla Plant. Any kind of loss. I think even a close loss would really hurt Kayla Plant following his loss to Canelo last year. I think it would really impact him, and he'd drop to the back of the top 10 with a loss here. So you know, that would really be devastating to his career. So he really needs a win in this one. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the underdog, the former 2-time WBC super middleweight champ, Anthony Dirrell. Dirrell rolling into this fight, really, you know, he hasn't fought also since the Canelo Plant fight that night. He was on the undercard. He knocked out some, I think, unknown guy named Marcos Hernandez in 4 rounds. Prior to that, he fought to a draw with Kyrone Davis in February of last year. And he didn't fight for 15 months prior to that when he got knocked out against David Benavidez in September of 2019. So, you know, Dirrell, not a lot of action in the ring, and you know, a lot of inactivity, and he's only fought 16 rounds in the past, you know, 3 calendar years. Excuse me. That's not good, you know, and he's really going to have to be in shape heading into this fight. But you know, it's a good fight for him to take, but it's a very risky fight at this point in his career. But he needs to take that kind of risk. He really does. He's been waiting too long for, I don't know what. I really don't know what he's been waiting for. And Kayla Plant is less of a risk in terms of a knockout, but it's a good risky former champion crossroads fight, and Dirrell really needs that. So he's coming in with the 1-inch reach advantage and a 1/2-inch height advantage. I mean, 1-inch height advantage and 1/2-inch reach advantage. Not much right there. So, you know, they're basically the same size. And Plant has the boxing. I think Plant has the technical boxing advantage, but I think Dirrell has the power advantage. So what does Dirrell need to do to win this fight? He definitely does not need to just come straight at Kayla Plant. He needs to kind of fight a mixed bag, center of the ring, and force Plant to come after him so he can be the counter puncher at times. And he really needs to try to land a big punch on Kayla Plant and hurt him. I think Anthony Dirrell has good, solid power, and he's always been competitive. Even in his losses, he was competitive against Benavidez. Years ago against Badu Jack, he was competitive in that fight too, lost a close one. So he needs to come into this one knowing that he's got to be built for 12 rounds. So he's got to come in tremendous shape, and also knowing that it's going to be a long road if he's just going to settle for a decision. So he really needs to try to hurt Kayla Plant and stop him at some point if he can. But that needs to be key to his game plan, to try to hurt Kayla Plant and land some of those big shots. Now, can Anthony Dirrell win this fight by knockout? I think it's on the less likely. Kayla Plant has a good chin, but Dirrell has the power edge. And if he catches Kayla Plant cold, especially backing up with his head straight up, yeah, I think he can hurt him. I think he might be able to knock him out. I think it's on the less likely side, but I wouldn't completely rule it out either. I think it's possible. Can Dirrell beat Plant by a decision? That's going to be a tough one because Kayla Plant is about, winning rounds and winning decisions. That's kind of his game. But Dirrell, has always been competitive. I think if he keeps the fight at close quarters and doesn't get sucked into Kayla Plant's fight, I think the chance is there, but I don't think he can blow Plant out. I think it would have to be, if it goes to scorecards, it's going to be close if Dirrell were to win. Now, what does a win mean for Anthony Dirrell right here? Well, it's huge. I mean, a win for Anthony Dirrell puts him right back in title contention. A title shot is next, in my opinion, no doubt. Again, we don't know how long Canelo's going to be around as the undisputed champ, so all those belts are going to become vacant, or they're going to have to fight their mandatory next. And Dirrell, a win here would put him in line for a title shot again. So absolutely, a win would be huge for Anthony Dirrell right here. It'd be one of the biggest of his career, and especially it could go down as the biggest depending on how he were to win. Now, what does a loss mean for Anthony Dirrell here? Well, a loss, I think that might be all she wrote. That would be the third loss of his career. He's 37. Depending on how he loses, impacts the fight. If he goes out there and loses a close decision, maybe he keeps banging around, maybe he keeps in the mix. But if he goes out there and gets dominated and loses by a convincing, it's convincing the loss, then I think it might be time to hang him up. I think Dirrell, that might be it for him. So a loss could end his career. So it would be big for Dirrell to lose this fight. It'd be bad, for Dirrell to really lose this fight. He's in a must-win crossroads situation. Now, the two questions I asked. First, is it better for boxing if Kayla Plant or Anthony Dirrell win this fight? And to be honest, I think it's better for boxing if Plant wins. Plant brings more to the table in terms of, I don't know about style. You could argue that Dirrell's style is more attractive, but the fact that he's 37, I don't think anybody believes he can make a dent. But Kayla Plant, he's a good, solid size light heavyweight. Super middleweight, definitely a guy you can argue can compete at light heavyweight years to come. Can get back in the mix because he's only 30 at 168. Also, he talks shit. He does. He doesn't do it in a big flamboyant way, but he's always been a shit talker. He always gets under his opponent's skin and talks a lot of smack. He's kind of a quiet guy, but he quietly talks shit. So, I think that's better for boxing, what he brings to the ring. So I think it's better for boxing if Kayla Plant wins. Now, it's not going to be completely horrible if Dirrell wins, especially if Dirrell knocks him out. Dirrell's got a name and it's not bad, but we don't know how long Dirrell's got, and I don't really think people consider Dirrell as a serious guy to take over the division or to make big fights going forward. And Plant, I think, just has the edge on him in those departments. So I definitely think it's better for boxing if Kayla Plant wins. Now, my prediction on this fight. Who do I think is going to win between Kayla Plant and Anthony Dirrell? Super Middleweight Showdown on October 15th. And I'm going Kayla Plant. I think it has the potential of being close, but Kayla Plant is such a smooth, good boxer that I think he's going to use his jab, counter punch, and he's going to win a convincing decision. You know, I'm not sure how entertaining this fight's going to be. This fight has a potential of being a dud, to be honest with you, but that doesn't mean it's not a significant fight. And you're going to see the sweet science on display. Now, Anthony Dirrell, always a live underdog just because of his power and his ability to stay competitive in a fight, you know. Definitely think he's going to be in this fight for a while, but I think Kayla Plant is just going to outwork him, and he's going to pile up the points, and I think he's going to win and score a convincing decision, and I think he's going to be right back in the mix with that. But I wouldn't be surprised if Darrell caught him, hurt him, and won the fight, but I'm picking Kayla Plant to win a convincing unanimous decision and get back in the mix of the super middleweight division. So that's what I got. That's the breakdown video for Kayla Plant versus Anthony Dirrell. Their super middleweight showdown takes place Saturday, October 15th. The co-feature to Deontay Wilder and Robert Helenius on Showtime pay-per-view. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.